So I want to take some time to start talking about the 562XP from Husqvarna because it's a really good saw. It gets a bad reputation because people don't understand it. They don't understand how to use it. They're scared to death of AutoTune, things like that. And, the only way to really understand it is to use one and use one the proper way and then see the actual benefits of an AutoTune chainsaw and a chainsaw like this 562XP. So now I've owned one for quite a few years. It has been beat around. It's been through the mill. Now, the reason I got it was because a guy dropped it off his tailgate and ran it with his truck. I had to put a new short block in it because the crankcase was cracked in several places, but that's another story for another day. Again, AutoTune is the big thing that people want to complain about with a chainsaw like this from Husqvarna because they don't understand it. They don't understand what it does, what the purpose of it is, the benefits of it, or anything like that. So before I really got into all the stuff with the 562XP, I want to take the time to throw this video together here quick because this is something that is common with not just the 562XP, but all of the AutoTune saws from Husqvarna. And it'll give you an idea of what the AutoTune module actually does and what it's capable of doing for you and the benefit that it will give you. So if you're not familiar with it, the AutoTune module is a little microprocessor on the side of the carburetor, which basically takes the place of your adjustment screws for your carburetor. So rather than you trying to run the chainsaw and somebody there holding screwdrivers and constantly adjusting the carburetor to have the saw run at peak performance, this microprocessor does it all for you. It changes the adjustments of the carburetor based on your altitude, the temperature, the condition of your fuel, the spark plug condition, all kinds of different things. If you've got a gasket that's starting to leak or a seal that's starting to leak, things like that, this AutoTune module can compensate for and still get the saw to run at the highest performing level despite all of these issues and problems that would affect any other carbureted saw to the point where it wouldn't even run. So what we're going to do is we're going to start this saw up, show you that it runs and everything, and then we are going to severely restrict the air filter to see if the AutoTune module can compensate for it or how much it can compensate. So again, this is a little bit of a video that was just kind of thrown together here. It goes a little long because I didn't want to have to edit it. I didn't want to cut anything. I didn't want to have to splice anything. I didn't want to have to have any spots where I stop so that you can see the whole way through. There's no trick photography. There's no screwing or messing around with anything. It's just run the saw, start it up, run the saw, take the air filter out, restrict it, start the saw back up, and see what it'll do. So without further ado, here we go out to my woods, and we're going to fire this thing up and show you what happens. This is my 562XP, and this has just the same air filter on it that we've had in there for quite a while. Just to show you here what this looks like. You can see that this filter, it does have some sawdust on it because we've been using it pretty hard. But that's it there. If you want a closer look at it, let me come in here closer. You can see it there. That's the felt filter, factory style filter on there. So we're going to start it up, and we're going to use the saw in this condition first. So we're going to flip the switch here up to choke, the purge bulb until it's full of fuel, and give it a few more squishes, and set our chain brake to the on position. It already is. And then we're going to put this on the ground and give it a pull. Flip the choke off. made that rip cut there to let the AutoTune module adjust. And you can hear it kind of revving up and bouncing off the rev limiter there and everything. And the RPM's changing and fluctuating just a little bit because we haven't gone anywhere different. You know, we've been using this saw here in this area under these conditions for months now, so not a whole lot to change there. So we're going to show you the big benefit of AutoTune because we're going to drastically change the condition of the air filter. So we'll pop this back off. And we will remove our air filter here. Now this one had a good bit of sawdust on it, nothing terrible. Not gonna lie, it's been quite a few months since we replaced it, but again, the magic of AutoTune. So the way we're gonna change the condition of this is we're gonna break out our buddy SpongeBob here. We got some duct tape. This is the only thing we had laying around was the stuff with SpongeBob SquarePants on it. We're gonna wrap this air filter in duct tape and just block off all the airflow here in this air filter. So get the end of this. Bear with me here for a few seconds. All right, so let's start right here. Go the whole way around there. Wrap this up. So we got a tight seal the whole way around the sides here. Now we're going to go across the top. Across the top, seal that up. Better make 2 passes just so we're sure to get all of it and erase any kind of doubt. Right. All right, so there we are. Show you what we got so far. We have the air filter just completely sealed off, top and the side. So now here we're going to go around the bottom part of it. We're going to seal that off too. Get this just right down in this lip here so we can still put the filter back on the saw. You're probably saying, what's the point of this? It's not going to run. Or why are you wasting our time doing this? Well, because this is the important part of AutoTune that everybody needs to realize what exactly it does and how it works and how well it works and the big benefit of it. So, all right, now I'll show you this again. We got everything pretty much sealed up here on the bottom, best I can get it. You know, it's got a little bit of a gap down here on the bottom, you know, right there, a little bit of an opening there. That's it. But the rest of this sucker is just completely sealed off. No questions about that, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a small hole right here in the top. I'm going to open this up just a tad bit. We're going to peel back the multiple layers we have here and make a small hole in it just so we have a little bit of air. Again, this is already above and beyond how packed and dirty a regular air filter would get. So there we go. We have this little hole right here. We didn't poke through the felt. We just poked through the duct tape, made that little opening right there. And of course we have the two little tiny gaps down there. But more than likely, when the air filter starts sucking the air, it's going to suck them shut anyway. So we have our little opening up here on the top. We're going to put this back on our saw and see what the saw does. That might be an issue. Okay. Be able to get the hold down on there. But that part's all solid plastic around there, so not going to give it any more breathability. There we are. Alright, here we go. We're going to fire up this 562XP with our SpongeBob duct taped air filter on there. Now purge it again, make sure we got good fuel coming through there. Flip up the choke, but since it was already ran, we're going to take that off. So we got the saw set in high idle position, and now we're going to fire it up. we go. Our 562 XP running on this completely sealed up air filter. And what's even more impressive is the spot that I cut open, it actually sucked that pretty much shut. So it was really only getting the air in from the bottom flaps there. And it recalibrated itself that much to be able to do that. When I say, well, you know, for the price of that saw, it didn't cut through that stuff there very fast. But again, the air filter is sealed up that much. Show me another saw that can do that with an air filter that's that clogged up. You know, the impressive part was that the first couple cuts, it kind of bogged down and went slow, but after that, it started picking up more and more and more. So that's the benefit of AutoTune right there. You could not take and have an air filter that clogged up on a big professional saw and adjust the carburetor to get it to just keep running better and better and better without having to stop and keep adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. That is what AutoTune does for you. As you go through the day, your air filter gets dirt on it, your spark plug starts to get a little fouled. It's going to get you through the day, and you're going to be able to finish the job and be more productive because you're not going to stop and swap out an air filter. You're not going to stop and swap out a spark plug. You're just going to be able to keep on going. So that's it there. AutoTune, and why it's a valuable piece to have on your chainsaw when you know how to use it and what it's actually doing. There you go. That's where it was sucking the air in through at. Just here on the bottom. That's it. So this is our air filter that we pulled off the chainsaw that we had wrapped up with the duct tape, SpongeBob SquarePants face all over it. Don't let that fool you. This is the real deal here. This is the actual duct tape, brand duct tape. And you saw in the video, the more that I cut with the saw, the better it actually started to run because it just kept recalibrating more and more and more and compensating for the restriction of the air filter. And, you know, the more the saw was ran, the more that engine was trying desperately to suck in air. And the entire time, it was just pulling that duct tape tighter and tighter to that filter surface. So amazing job by that AutoTune module to compensate for this. If you're not impressed by this, then go ahead and take your carbureted Husqvarna chainsaw or your Echo or your Steel or your Makita or your Dolmar or your Home Light, whatever you got laying around. Take some duct tape, some Gorilla tape, frog tape, whatever you got, wrap the air filter up, go out there and try to start it. If you're lucky, it will start. But do you really think it's going to run better the longer you run it? Chances are, and there are very high chances, that it's just going to bog down and stall out if you do get it running because it's just going to be running too rich. And you're going to have to futz around with the needles of the carburetor. If you're lucky, you might be able to keep it running for a little bit. But you're not going to be able to run the saw and adjust the carburetor at the same time to keep it running, and not only running, but keep gaining better performance as it's running. So that's the benefit of AutoTune. It saves you that time and that hassle by doing the adjusting for you. Now my plan is to have a couple more videos talking about the 562 XP and some changes they made to them here recently and things of that nature. Just, you know, help you get more familiar with the saw and give you some helpful advice on how to actually run the saw to get the best performance out of it, you know, right out of the box. But again, the big reason I wanted to get this one out there was because this is beneficial to anybody looking at an AutoTune saw, whether it's the 562 XP, the 572 XP, the 550 XP, the 545, really all of the second generation and up AutoTune chainsaws. First generation, you're talking the 576XP, and not a big fan. The AutoTune module was not as well designed as what you'll find here on the 562XP and later models. It had its definitely had its drawbacks, and again, it's one that I personally would just stay away from, or I would buy the carbureted version if you really wanted the 576XP. But again, that's a whole nother subject there. But you just saw what you can expect to get out of a second generation and newer AutoTune module on an AutoTune saw from Husqvarna. So again, if you don't believe us, go ahead, take your saw out there, your carbureted saw, wrap the air filter in duct tape, try to start it, and see what happens. But well, that's going to do it for this video here. If you have any questions or you just want to leave some comments, feel free to do so. We appreciate the feedback. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll be talking to you soon.